Welcome to Mobil1 The Grid. Coming up today, we hit the swamp to go racing on water. And McLaren Honda's Jenson Button talks Silverstone. We begin today's Mobil1 The Grid with a look at how Le Mans has become a World Cup for works drivers.
Since 1923, race fans have descended on the town of Le Mans to witness the magic of the world's oldest endurance race. It's the coming together of automobile manufacturers and drivers from across the globe to show off the latest technology and prove themselves against the best of the best.
I mean, it's great that we have teams from all over the world. You know, we've got Asia and the US and Europe and you know, a lot of people from the UK, which is great for me. Everybody comes together for this one event, picked from other series, and you know, all together it's like a shootout for the best of the best.
It's a World Cup of drivers, but it's also a World Cup of manufacturers. This is kind of where it all started, and you know, has been going head to head, and seeing the different kinds of technologies, the cars changing every year, the shapes, you know, the styles.
Alongside the technology, safety has come a long way too. Originally, there were no rules on the number of drivers or how long they could be behind the wheel. Nowadays, each car has 3 pilots, and most manufacturers have full-time professionals known as works drivers. Porsche lead the way with a small army of them.
We've got 16 works drivers here, which is a lot. You know, everybody involved is here racing. We've got a lot of Porsche cars, which is good, and it's Le Mans, and it's why I wanted to drive for Porsche in the first place. It's what drives you as a person to compete and do your best and try and win at this place.
You know, it's always an honour to be a Porsche works driver, but it's even more special to come here in Le Mans, to drive one of their racing cars here and have the honour and to be chosen to represent the brand and to try and get another victory is always very, very special.
Works or factory-backed drivers are hired by vehicle manufacturers as they seek successful motorsport programs to improve road car technology and drive sales. This year, Ford Motorsports teamed up with the highly experienced Ganassi to guide their 12 drivers on their return to Le Mans.
Endurance racing is way different than NASCAR, IndyCars, and it takes a different mindset, a different attitude. In IndyCar racing and NASCAR, you'd be very selfish. You almost have to be as equally unselfish as an endurance driver when you're sharing a car with someone. You know, you may not have the setup that you particularly want, but you know, it's the one that works for everyone. That's difficult for some people to take sometimes.
Ford coming back is such big news. Some of the drivers that they have involved as well from around the world brings a lot of focus onto our team. To have that opportunity to be a part of the next chapter of Ford's racing history at Le Mans is very special, but most of all it's a pride of being a part of it.
For Corvette and their successful racing program, it's not just speed that gets you a seat on the team.
When you become a Corvette driver, the speed is given. Okay? You are chosen because you have that level. The additional factor becomes how well you can adjust to understanding what your role is as a driver outside the car. What are the demands, the PR demands, the fan demands? And if you view them as demands, you're not cut out for the job. When you view them as opportunities, now we're talking Corvette driver.
It was the goal basically to become a Chevy driver and be part of Corvette racing. Sports car racing was basically the passion from our family. My dad was in sports car racing for his whole career, and to finally become a Corvette racing driver coming to Le Mans for the biggest event in the world is a dream come true.
More from Ganassi later on in the show, but right now we head on to the grid for the latest NASCAR and World Rally action. And we begin with round 7 of the WRC, Rally Poland. One of the fastest events on the calendar, Poland is all about horsepower and plenty of it. M-Sport's Ott Tanak nearly won here last season and was flying again on the high-speed gravel stages. VW's Andreas Mikkelsen was in hot pursuit. The Norwegian led for much of the opening loop, but had lost out to the faster Tanak by the end of day 1. Fed up with being first on the road, championship leader Sebastian Ogier was off the pace and destined to finish off the podium for the first time this season. Hayden Paddon would make the podium. The Hyundai driver was fast enough for third, but just couldn't match the pace of the front two. In an epic duel for the lead, Mikkelsen was giving it everything, but a slight error on the high-speed Goldap stage would be costly. It was only 5 seconds lost, but Tanak wasted no time, risking it all to extend his lead. Overnight rain, though, brought a dramatic twist on the final morning. On the verge of victory, Tanak hit a rock, the impact knocking his hand off the steering. The damaged front right wheel would cost the M Sport driver 40 seconds and an historic first win. It was heartbreak for Tanak as Mikkelsen completed the final power stage to confirm his second WRC victory, and with it, second place in the championship standings. From the stages, it's on to the world-famous Daytona International Speedway for round 17 of the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Green flag is in the air!
NASCAR's Independence Weekend round saw Carl Edwards take the early advantage from Polster to Greg Biffle in a race that almost came down to the last man standing. As the race passed half-distance, Penske teammates Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano were out front when a major pileup took out nearly half the field.
Around they go!
Stay down, go on.
Jimmy Johnson in the 48 made contact with Jamie McMurray, instigating a 22-car wreck. Polster to Biffle was amongst the casualties, while Kevin Harvick had Brian Scott's Ford take a ride on his windshield. Stewart Haas boss Tony Stewart, who'd won the previous round at Sonoma, was also out of luck. With 12 to go, Smoke's oversteering Chevrolet got sideways, taking out Casey Mears and early leader Edwards. On the final restart, Keselowski was still out front, but pursuers Kurt and Kyle Busch were two abreast and closing in fast.
The final time down the backstretch. Joey Logano trying to make the inside line work. Through 3 and 4 for the final time. Out of turn 4. They'll see the finish line. Brad Keselowski out front. Around goes Kurt Busch. Keselowski's going to hang on. Keselowski wins at Daytona.
Thank you, guys. Great team effort today. Very proud. Thank you.
Penske's 100th win in top flight NASCAR puts Keselowski to the head of the chase field. Next up, Kentucky. Time now to meet one of the newest Bentley boys as they get set for their biggest race of the season, the Spa 24 Hours.
Having nailed the opening stint, Andy Soucek looked on as teammate Maxime Soulet guided their number 8 Continental GT3 to victory in the opening race of the Blancpain GT Series. It was a perfect start to their second season as Bentley boys.
It's responsibility, it's pressure, it's honor. And it feels really special actually to carry that Bentley logo everywhere you go around the world. So the only thing I can think about this year is to really try and fight for every win at every weekend, although I know that it's going to be tough.
Life as a professional racing driver wasn't in anyone's thoughts when a young bike fanatic growing up in Spain fell upon four-wheeled motorsport by accident.
I was actually a motorbike fan. I had a pocket bike. And I had quite a big accident one day. So I said to my dad, it quite hurts, you know. And he said, yeah, but now we need to repair the bike. And actually, there was no mechanic available, so we went up to the go-kart track. And my father just met an old friend of his, and the friend said, no, you should let Andy drive the go-kart. The motorbike is too dangerous. So I went with my leather suit into the go-kart, and I just didn't want to stop. So I said to my dad, we should sell the pocket bike and buy a go-kart.
That eventually led to Spanish Formula 3, and his 2005 championship win earned him a run-out in the Toyota F1 car, aged just 19.
I have incredibly good memories about that test because I remember the first laps. I thought, wow, this is really fast. But after 5 or 6 laps, I kind of got used to it, and I ended up the day being, I think, very, very quick, and I impressed the whole team. They actually said goodbye with a round of applause, and they really seemed to be very, very happy with what I did.
As Soucek was racing through the categories, there was another Spaniard who was inspiring the home fans, Fernando Alonso.
When Alonso won the championship in 2005 and 6, people were starting to really get interested about Formula 1 in Spain, and it became crazy, and everyone in Spain was just talking about Formula 1. So I've grown actually when I was younger with that Alonso boom, and it certainly helped to get sponsors, to talk about something that before nobody knew about. So Alonso has really helped a lot in Spain for people to know about motorsport.
2 years in GP2 followed for Souček, racing with the best of his generation, before he secured the F2 title in 2009. He was close to landing a dream seat with Williams F1, but ended up as Virgin Racing's test driver. And then the F1 door slammed shut.
I might have been a little bit angry with how the system worked, but destiny is what it is, and I think I am at the best place I could ever be. So I have no regrets on what I've done. I've done a lot of single-seaters, and now I'm driving for Bentley. So what else do you want? There's not much more I can ask for, to be honest.
With Souček successfully transferring his single-seater skills into GT racing, he's a big asset to Bentley. Next up is the race that will define their season, the Spa 24 Hours.
Most of the people might think that on a 24-hour race you're not pushing the whole time. Well, that's not true. There is so much competition that if you're not at the very best all the time, you won't have a chance to win it. It's also very important for the Endurance Championship because it gives you extra points. A win with the Bentley, that would be a dream come true, and that's our objective for this year for sure.
After the break, we asked Jenson Button for his take on the British Grand Prix and talked to the motorsport boss with the winning formula, Chip Ganassi. Welcome back to Mobil1 The Grid. Time to get wet now as we meet a racer whose playground is the southern Florida swamplands. The town of Naples, situated between citrus farms and the warm Gulf of Mexico in the Everglades, has for the last 66 years hosted the unusual sport of swamp buggy racing. Local resident Dan Greenling was bitten by the racing bug and has never looked back.
I had someone ask me to sponsor them about 12 years ago, and I told them I'd sponsor them, and on the condition I could take one lap in their buggy, and I took a lap, and that was it. I was hooked after that. I had to have one. Well, we got about 900 horsepower, and we're on a training break, and we take off, and it's just getting like getting shot out of a rocket. You take off, and the water's flying back past you, and you lose your breath, you lose your vision for a couple seconds, and then it all comes back in, and you can see the guy next to you, and the race is on. It's a blast.
Racing in the murky swamp water takes its toll on machinery, which needs constant maintenance, while for Greenling himself, a helmet and a seatbelt are his only protection.
I just wear my shorts and t-shirt, pretty much like I am right here. I put on a pair of sneakers. I don't go in my flip-flops, but they won't allow that. You just let her fly. Hopefully you don't get behind, because when you get behind, you get a lot of stuff in your face. It's water, but when it comes out and dries, you'll see nothing but sand across the buggy, so it's liquid sandpaper out there. So any type of bearings, it just eats them up. So you got every race take them apart, make sure they're good. Obviously, you got to go through your motor, make sure it's sound. Just a lot of preparation, your waterproofing, all your wires, stuff like that. Make sure everything's tight, something's not coming apart.
Former chap Greenling runs a local roofing business and has to find time in his busy working life to prep for the competitive 3-race season. But friends and family put in the hours to help keep him above water.
When I come home, I start working on it a couple nights a week. I've got some buddies of mine that are quite handy mechanically, and they help me with it. And there's about 4 or 5 of us that work for sure 2 nights a week. As the race is coming up, we may work 2 weeks every day solid on it to get it ready, depending on what we got to get ready for the next race. It's a big thing. There's a lot of maintenance to it, making sure everything is working, because if one thing breaks, you lose. If you don't finish the race, you can't win. So that's the biggest thing in swamp buggy.
Don't be fooled by these customized rigs. Lovingly built, numbingly loud, they're capable of hair-raising 80-mile-an-hour speeds at the Florida Motorsports Park, or the Mile of Mud, as it's fondly known by the locals.
Mine's all made out of steel. Some guys are running aluminum now, try to shave some weight. Okay, we like the steel, but it's all handmade, everything here. You know, we make the wheels, we make the frame. The rear end is out of a Massey Ferguson tractor. On the outside, the planetaries. The inside is a Ford 9-inch. You know, we connect them together. We run 485 cubic inches, the maximum that we can run. We run a big block Chevy, and we're right at that. We've got skis on the front here to help us get across the deep holes. There's 2 deep holes on the track. Basically, it's about 18 inches all the way around the track. There's a couple of holes that drop off to about 5 feet. So the idea is the skis pick us up, take us across those holes where we don't go down inside them.
The world record holder at the Swamp with a 47-second lap set last January, 2016 has been a mixed season for Greenling. Victorious at the second event of the season, but only managing 4th overall in the championship. He's not done yet and believes the best is yet to come for the future of swamp buggy racing.
How long am I going to do this? Oh, I don't know. I guess maybe when it stops being fun. I don't see that anytime soon. I've got my son racing, so I know the future's coming. Maybe by the time I get tired of it, my grandkids will be up and they can keep running. I want to keep racing it. I love it. It's a lot of fun.
We focus on Formula 1 now as we join Jenson Button and race engineer Tom Stallard ahead of the British Grand Prix. As the World Championship reaches the halfway stage, F1 moves to the home of British motor racing, Silverstone, for round 10. It's a circuit that McLaren Honda's British ace Jenson Button knows better than most.
I've raced there for 16 years now. The parts I love about Silverstone are the fast flowing corners. Copse, Maggots, Beckett, Stowe, that's a great section for the lap. It is a pity they've changed the circuit. I don't like the new part as much as I liked the flow of Bridge and Priory. That was a real special part of the circuit, so it's a shame it's changed, but they've obviously changed it for overtaking and for viewing, and if that has helped the racing, it's a good idea.
Button might long for the old track last used in 2009, but McLaren Honda's engineers must focus on the current 5.9-kilometre layout. With spectacular corner combinations and high-speed direction changes, drivers experience forces up to 5G, making it one of the toughest circuits on the calendar.
Silverstone is quite a unique circuit. It's a very high-speed circuit. So for that, you need a lot of downforce on the car. You need to set the car up such that the downforce is there when you need it in the high-speed corners. And the setup's quite unique for that. There's not much time to be gained in the low speed in Silverstone.
Despite never having won the British Grand Prix, after an improved 6th place finish in Austria in the last round, Button is keen to put on a show for the home fans.
I will say they're the best fans in the world because I'm British and I'm patriotic, but they do love their sport, and I think every driver will say that the British fans will not just support their own drivers, they'll support whoever they think is the driver for them. And whether it's beautiful sunshine, raining, whatever the conditions, they will be there at the race supporting, and I love that about the British fans. I've been through some pretty difficult times at the British Grand Prix, and again they've been very supportive and really lifted me up and kept me positive. Hopefully this year will be a reasonably good year.
We end today with an exclusive look into one of motorsport's most successful racing stables, where winning is the only option.
18 drivers, 14 cars, 6 series. This is the house that Chip Ganassi has built. A power player in the world of motor racing, and in just under 30 years has become a force to be reckoned with, alongside the likes of Roger Penske and Gene Haas. But before becoming a successful team owner, the Pittsburgh native was a racer himself.
I always enjoyed motorsports, whether it was go-karts or dirt bikes, snowmobiles, all-terrain vehicles. I've raced them all. When I graduated from high school, my graduation gift was to go to the Bondurant driving school. I graduated from college, I turned 23, and I qualified for the Indy 500 in 1982. So my racing career was off and running by then, and enjoyed a 10-year career in motorsports.
Ganassi's involvement in 6 different race series is no small task, but picking winners is what has enabled this empire to succeed over the years.
I always wanted to have a team that drivers would like to drive for. I thought that I'd want to drive for. I want to have a driver's team, and I've been lucky over the years to have some great drivers come through our doors and guys that were winners. And that's important in this sport, to be a winner. And I often tag my Twitter feed with "I like winners."
The whole program here is to win, whether it's IndyCar, the sports car, the new GT program, NASCAR. It's to get the most out of the personnel. He's very good at extracting, I think, the most out of everybody.
In IndyCar, Ganassi has already won 11 titles and 4 Indy 500s, while in NASCAR, despite Jamie McMurray delivering both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400, Ganassi wants a whole lot more.
That's been a big challenge, but it's something that we bring a lot to. We've won races there. Jamie McMurray, Kyle Larson, but there's some unfinished business there I have to do yet, and it's a tall order. But I enjoy the competition. They say that the most competitive games attract the most competitive teams, and that's why we're there.
I don't know how Chip does it. I don't know how he does it. I think having so many organizations and having so many good organizations with good people is really impressive.
In 2015, Ford Motor Company announced the return of the Ford GT, with the dream of winning Le Mans for the first time since the 1960s. Ganassi, who last visited the track as a racer, was entrusted with the task of bringing home the trophy.
This opportunity, when it presented itself, it piqued my interest, certainly. If I didn't think we had a shot to win, I wouldn't be here. Not only do you have to have the right team, but you have to have the right manufacturer, the right tire company, the right engine builders, the right people taking care of your car, it takes many, many things to put a team together. Quite frankly, I didn't realize how much passion there was in the Ford program, whether from Ford or even from the extended Ford family. So it's quite an honor to represent them coming back here 50 years later.
Ganassi masterminded a historic victory at this year's Le Mans, giving Ford the moment they'd craved. With his record, perhaps it should have been little surprise.
Oh, this is huge. I mean, this is what Ford wanted. This is what we all wanted. What about Chip? He's never been to Le Mans before, and he just comes here and wins the thing. I mean, you want to race for Chip Ganassi because, he's a winner. He knows how to win these big races, even if he's never done it before.
Having won nearly everything in the sport, who knows where Ganassi will be in the future? One thing's for certain, it will be done with full commitment.
I think some of the exciting things going on in racing today pique my interest. There are a lot of exciting technologies on the horizon that I think will weave their way into motorsports and will make it better, safer, and something that's exciting to watch.
Next time, we'll be joining the IMSA Sports Car Series in Canada, and we'll be reliving Tony Stewart's early success in NASCAR. Meanwhile, join us on YouTube, Twitter, and our all-new website for more videos, coverage of the British Grand Prix, and the very best writers on the web. Mobil1thegrid.com is your home of motorsport online. See you next time.